I'd like to welcome you all for being here, and you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Who's you? The young lady?
That young lady right there.
All right.
In the blue, okay.
Come up to the podium.
She looks terrified.
Dr. Stumble for a minute.
Ready, begin.
Ready, begin.
You did great.
You go home and watch it on TV.
I'd like a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have a report of the closed session actions. I have a readout. In closed session, it was moved and seconded that the Board of Education approve the settlement agreement and mutual release of all claims pertaining to the John A.J. Doe et al. Versus Torrance Unified School District et al., case number BC 610421 in the Los Angeles Superior Court in consolidated cases, and authorized Deputy Superintendent Tim Stowe to sign the settlement agreement and mutual release of all claims on behalf of the Torrance Unified School District. The roll call vote was unanimous in support of it. So, moving on to staff presentation. The Torrance Education Foundation is not here, so we are now going to move on to the Torrance Council of PTAs. Annette?
I thought I was going to
You can
go
lead off.
after Susan.
There you go.
That's okay, at least I didn't have a surprised flag Pledge of Allegiance. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here tonight. We are all around Torrance super busy. If you've stepped foot on any one of our campuses, probably running around like chickens with their heads cut off, getting ready for 5th grade and 8th grade commencements, 12th grade graduations, and end-of-year activities, and getting ready to take off one hat and, in most cases, put on another hat, and passing the torch ceremonies. So just busy. But we were fortunate enough to have people take some time out of their very busy schedules to join us at the California State PTA Convention on April 27th and 29th. We had about 20 parent volunteer advocates who represented Torrance Council of PTA, 19 voting, 1 non-voting if you're counting. And collectively, we put in about 80 hours of workshops, countless hours of networking and inspiration, and I think it was a really valuable event, so we're really excited about that. We saw a lot of new faces. We also approved the Resolution A, which was to improve and stabilize education funding. I feel like that doesn't need any further explanation. And our next convention will be in Monterey, California, May 16th through 18th in 2019. And I'd like to thank our committee members, our fearless leader, Denise Spellman, who's not here tonight to give the report herself, Michelle Van Lerberge, who's homesick, Sumi Arnheim, Cindy Shields, Rochelle Duncan, Terry Reagans, and Michelle Briggs, who gave countless hours putting together a really awesome, orientation and hospitality to our leaders. So really thankful for them. And in looking forward, we've, as a board and executive board, are convening a committee of PTA leaders to examine the issues around enacting a social host ordinance in the city of Torrance. We'll be putting that to a vote in front of our association on June 6th at our spring brunch, which is going to be really awesome. Because we'll be celebrating our Torrance Council graduating seniors, the recipients of our scholarships, and the district-wide bike rodeo winners, which takes place at Torrance High. And this is their second time hosting something for us this year. They also did Torrance High hosted our college fair, which was just beautiful. It's a great campus, and it's a great staff and a PTA, and we're just thankful to host it there once again. And this will also be the installation of our new PTA unit presidents, their boards, and the Torrance Council of PTA Board of Directors and Chairs. And last but certainly not least, the Executive Board has voted to support Assembly Bill 2808 to increase the local control funding formula sponsored by Al Marsucci's office. And this bill is also supported by the California State PTA and Torrance Unified School District. So we'll be putting that to an official vote in front of our association as well, and hope that the community also looks a little further into it and expresses their support as well. So that's it for me.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, Ian, you're next.
Okay, so for our past events, Last week we had our annual fashion show and our annual slam poetry contest. And we finally finished AP testing, which was, thank goodness. And for our upcoming events, we just started Smarter Balance testing, and we're going to go through with it for the next 2 weeks. We have achievement awards this Wednesday, and we have our class council elections this Friday. And then ASB is prepping for our last all-school rally and Spirit Week, which is June 4th to June 8th.
Don't move.
Yeah, we have a lot of testing.
Come on, we got a certificate to give you.
You could clerk that, right?
Thank you for helping out for this past few weeks. Moving on to the good news presentations, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, President Wormers. Today we have three special young people with us from three of our elementary schools. So we're going to start off with Adams Elementary. Dimitar Sabranovsky, can you please come on up and let's give him a round of applause. Joining us tonight is also the principal of Adams Elementary, Mrs. Shayla Smith Toronto. Please, Dimitar, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Dimitar Sabranovsky, and I'm a 4th grade student at John Adams Elementary School in Torrance. It is a privilege to be part of this amazing school ever since I was in preschool. Students here are also known as the John Adams Patriots. John Adams is an amazing school. Starting with our school principal, Ms. Toronto, all the teachers, school staff, and volunteers always make sure that we, the students, receive a high-quality education. All the teachers here are wonderful, helpful, kind, and friendly. I love my school because this school is my second home. I feel very safe at my school with the new gates and when we practice emergency drills. We have great playgrounds where my friends and I play during recess and lunchtime. We have a nice nurse who takes care of us if we get hurt or do not feel very well. We have clean and safe classrooms and a nice library. I am really happy to be a student at John Adams Elementary.
Thank you very much. Great job. Our next student leader is from Hickory Elementary, Katie Takata. Can you please come on up? Let's give a round of applause. And joining us is also the principal of Hickory Elementary, Mrs. Edna Schumacher.
Good evening, school board, Dr. Mannon, and cabinet members. My name is Katie Takata, and I'm a 5th grader at Hickory Elementary School. I was also known as the Fall 2017 Student Council President. This evening, I would like to share the many ways students at Hickory are developing their leadership skills and working towards being college and career ready. As I mentioned, I participated in the Hickory Student Council. Each year, Hickory has 2 election cycles. Students for grades 4 and 5 run for student council offices. We experience the full democratic election process. All students for grades 1 through 5 participate in these elections. Another way we prepare for leadership roles is to join the Hickory Paw Patrol. As members of the Paw Patrol, we guide and practice conflict resolution strategies during recess and lunch. We are visible and supportive to any students who are having conflicts during this time. We mediate and try to come up with fair and reasonable resolutions. This year, our school has started Focus 45. This is a 45-minute, no new teaching time where we are able to focus on essential skills and strategies from a variety of teachers. As part of becoming college and career ready, we learn to monitor and reflect our progress. We students are aware of target goals during this time. Knowing what we are targeting helps us to make progress towards meeting our goal. Students for grades 3, 4, and 5 participate in Big Buddies. We act as role models and friends to younger students. Throughout the year, we visit our little buddies, read with them, participate in crafts with them, and help them whenever or however they need us. For some of us, this is a chance of being a big brother or big sister to someone. We love the responsibility, and we always look forward to seeing our big little buddies. Hickory gives us a lot of opportunities to shine. I mentioned a few, but we also have academic teams, sports teams, art, talent show, and chorus. We help with ballet, we help in the cafeteria, and we're even invited to be part of the yearbook club, just to name a few more. Thanks to our entire school community, Hickory is an awesome school. Thank you for inviting me to share a little snapshot of the good things that are going on at Hickory.
Thank you, Katie. Great job. Our third and final elementary student leader, you've already met. She led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Lauren Cho from Wood Elementary, please come on up. Let's give her a round of applause, everyone. Go ahead.
Hello and good evening. My name is Lauren Cho. I am a fifth grader here at Wood, and I'm here to tell you about our Wood track team. Before we start, I would like to congratulate our principal, Dr. Sean Johnson, on her second year here at Wood. We all appreciate all you've done for this school. Our track team is coached by our very own Coach Betsy, or otherwise known as my mom. I kind of think she's the best coach around. Kids in grades 3, 4, and 5 have been practicing since April for the big track meet in June. We will be competing against other elementary schools at El Camino College. In practice, we learn to run relays, fast sprints, and long jumps. This year is my third year in track, and I've loved every bit of it. We all have so much fun practicing and challenging ourselves to see how fast we can go. Watch out, everyone. We have been practicing harder than ever and are ready to take on whatever you've got. Hopefully this year we will bring home lots of medals. I hope you had a wonderful evening. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you very much to Dr. Johnson for being with us tonight, too.
Moving on to 8.5, the Southwest SELPA program transfer. Dr. Crumpy.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and let our guests lead in.
Run. This is your chance.
So as you know, we have many students in the through our Los Angeles County Office of Ed program in our regionalized service, and we have been spending the last year working with our Southwest SELPA in a take-back program that all of our local SELPA districts will be taking back the Los Angeles County Office of Ed special education classrooms. And Dr. Elaine Semple, our Director of Special Education, is going to lead us through the presentation to give you some initial information and progress of the work being done thus far this year.
So, first of all, I don't think it's fair that I had to follow the three best candidates we have for office for the upcoming election. Just saying. As Dr. Crumpy just said, in Torrance we've hosted for many years special day classes that serve kids with low incidence or severe disabilities whose challenges are such that any one district doesn't have a number of students that can create a class or a program. So different districts host different programs. Beginning in the fall, the hosting districts are going to take over program administration from LACO. So the SELPA began this process, I think, about 2 years ago, a little bit before I came on board. They discussed with the SELPA director, the directors of the special education programs in the SELPA and the superintendents. The reason behind the program transfer, which is what it's called, is to increase program quality, to control costs, to have fewer district changes for students. So as a part of the configuration of the classrooms, a few of us met in committees and determined that there would be tracks so that students wouldn't move from more than previously. Students could be in Hawthorne for preschool, then they'd move to Redondo Beach for maybe K-1, and then they'd move to another district. So we worked hard as part of this program transfer to ensure that students wouldn't be moving to more than 2 districts in their educational career, and if they had to move to 2 districts, that they were at least districts that weren't like Inglewood to Torrance, that we kept them closer together. Greater accountability, continuity of district of service programs, and better relationships with our parents. The way the process worked was that in the all of the directors and members of administration through different districts joined committees. So in Torrance, Dr. Liberati and a few other people were, and Human Resources Administration from other districts were on the Human Resources Committee. So you can probably figure it out from here who was on the Facilities Committee. If you want to guess, it was probably facilities people, program. So the program committee actually was, for the most part, all of the district directors, special education directors, then like Judy Chai and finance people, and then our transportation was a big part of the transportation committee. He did a really good job. How many students in the SELPA does this impact? There are approximately 369 students from 12 districts that are going to be attending these regionalized programs. These are the regionalized program classrooms. So low incidence disabilities, which are the deaf and hard of hearing programs, visually impaired, confused, and then the students that previously were included in the classes for orthopedic impairment now are going to be included in the health support unit, in addition to children with severe medical needs, help, G-tubes, catheterization, things like that. Then previously, the students that were in the classes that served students with emotional disabilities are going to be in the behavioral intervention support classes. We have classes for kids with autism, and then functional communication and social skills. Pathways. So pathways refers to where the students begin and where the programs are. We're going to have to look at this one over here because I don't have my glasses on. So this is just where the classrooms are located. The classes that are highlighted with the yellow are the classrooms that are in Torrance. So as you can see, Torrance is hosting 9 classrooms. I don't know if you want me to go through. We will. So just the classrooms are at Wood, where we'll have classrooms for students who are deaf, hard of hearing. We have classrooms at Carr and Casimir for students with visual impairment. Also classrooms for students with functional skills needs at Casimir and North High. North High also has students with visual impairment, and that's where our high school health support students will be receiving services. What does this mean? What's different?
Can I ask you a quick question about the last one?
Yeah.
So those 9, actually 10, I have 10 highlighted, but anyway.
10 highlighted, yeah, I can explain that.
Okay.
So there, originally, we had 10 classrooms in Torrance. There is a classroom at Richardson that says health support, but this year there were no students in
Okay.
that classroom, and at this time, there's no projected students for that classroom for next year, but we made a commitment to hold on to the classroom in the event that becomes necessary.
Okay, and my question was, does the sort of the distribution of this bear any relationship to where the students were previously being served in any way?
So we're holding on, Torrance, thank you. Torrance, we're serving students that were previously in our district. So these are classrooms that we've lost 2. But other than that, these are students that were previously on those campuses, and they're remaining on campuses. So what's good about, there's a lot of good things in this. It's been a lot of work. But when a classroom is on a campus, but it's administered and staffed by people that aren't a part of the district, it creates issues. Difficult because those classrooms, the administration for those classrooms were LACO administrators. they weren't available to the classrooms and to the staff when they needed them. Having the classrooms in Torrance, administered by Torrance, means that we can get to problems much more quickly, be more responsive to what the parents need and what the students need, and answers. So when you have an administrator that's jumping around to 12 different districts, trying to solve problems, working on 12, potentially, not necessarily, but potentially 12 different school calendars, 12 different AR, 12 different board policy, it's pretty difficult for that person to be up to speed when they come to your IEP meeting, when they come to your school, to really be able to resonate with the school staff and with the parents. Aside from the obvious consistency, having paraeducators and teachers on a site that with different union representation is challenging, different salary, doing the same job with different salary schedules and different hiring practices. So the regionalized programs provides consistency in all those areas. It also results in more consistency in job expectations, including opportunities for those staff members to participate in adjunct responsibilities and duties. You might not think that that's a good thing, but they've actually reached out to us and said, I'd like to be out there as a part of the duty schedule. They want to be a part of the school staff. So, and I've spoken to all of them, and they're really excited to be a part of the Torrance team.
Dr. Semple, one question, Mrs. Reagans.
Well, actually, just to follow up on what you said, so
Yeah.
the staff members that have been providing services in these classrooms were previously county
So
employees?
that's my next.
Okay,
thing I'm
there
gonna
you go.
talk about. So one of the things that's worked out nicely for us is that we're able to hire a lot of the quality people that were already in the programs. So there will be a nice consistency for the kids. There'll be a nice consistency for the programs. Familiarity. It wasn't 100%, but we got really good staff. Our HR did a really nice job. It worked out really well for us. I think quality control overall will be better. Torrance does a great job with special ed. That was a joke. Okay, but anyway, so I think that we will we welcome them, and we're excited to take this new step, and I'm excited for the kids.
Mr. Stefan has a question, followed by Mr. Lee.
The school where I teach also, I'm in Hawthorne.
Oh, okay. The Hawthorne's got a lot of kids.
There you go.
So I teach at York, and so we're doing the same thing. Does it put more stress or more load on the site principal that they have now? I get the feeling that this is a big change for the site principal, especially at an elementary where you only have one, So how does that work out? How is that being involved? This is a whole another 3 or 4 classrooms that the principal is going to be in charge of. What support will they get here at Torrance to make sure that that works out well?
Yeah, so different districts are doing it a little bit differently. We did the program transfer team, so the special education directors, we did make recommendations about levels of support for administration, clerical, itinerant staff. So all of the districts were given allocations for administrative support that was considered reasonable by the finance committee and the program transfer committee. How that is being rolled out at the different districts is a little bit differently, so I'm not exactly sure how they're doing it in Hawthorne. In Torrance, at least for the first year, we are actually tomorrow doing some interviews we're hiring an assistant principal position that's going to be the administrator for that program. And so at this point, that person is going to do the majority of the handling of the overall administration for those programs.
District office position per se,
Exactly.
that will be in charge of, not necessarily the day-to-day, moment-to-moment issues at the school.
A lot like Right now, similar to the model that we have with LACO, except for the fact that they won't be going to 12 different districts, they'll be administering at 4 different school sites.
And will this person be required to go to IEPs and that kind of thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
And Johnny has a problem in one of the classes, that person would be called?
Yes and no. So if it's an immediate problem that requires administrative support immediately for the safety of the student, then the site administrator would step in. But the site administrators these are classrooms that have been on these campuses for many, many years. So for the sites, it's not an increase in, they do that now because the LACO administration can't get there fast enough. So if it's an immediate, urgent situation, that requires an administrator to ensure child safety, then the site administrator would definitely be asked to take care of this student. But if it's anything else where it's a parent, it's a situation and we need to, yeah.
And this, it's been my impression, the districts are doing this more for quality reasons. They all believe that we could better, maintain costs better. In Torrance, will we maintain costs better? And that'll be it, guys.
And Dr. Mayo can answer.
I mean,
I think that's a difficult question to actually answer. Dr. Jason isn't here, so I'm sorry he isn't here to actually answer that question.
okay. Well, it would be interesting to get what we believe might be a breakdown.
There are only 2 SELPAs left that have LACO services. Ours, and which will end on June 30th, which will leave only 1 SELPA with LACO services, which is Tri-City. The experience in some of the other SELPAs is they did see some cost containment with it. But again, it's difficult because of where the state is as a whole. And it was pointed out today by school services, which we already knew, that we actually have a decrease in the number of special education students, but an increase in special education costs. And that's because of the handicapping conditions that we're seeing. The quality control has been an issue. It's been an issue, and actually Elaine gave you some good information, but the SELPA, our Southwest SELPA, first made the discussion on this 5 years ago. So it's been a long-term process because in many instances from several of our districts, parents would not want to go into certain LACO programs, which forced the issue into non-public school placement.
Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. On number 4, the greater accountability piece, that's obviously a big part of this, even tying into the program quality and the I always like to look at the money part of this stuff. And what metrics are you going to use to be able to look at this and say it's working or it's not working? I mean, is it going to be the number of due process claims, actions? Is it going to be, are we saving money based upon last year? What kind of from that side of it? Because I kind of look at it almost as a risk management exercise of, are we going to lessen the due process claims? Do we expect that to happen? Do we expect to see cost savings by us doing it as opposed to LACO doing it? There's not a lot of detail in this.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sorry, Mr. Lee, but the question you asked, which are a good question, really would be for Dr. Jason and not Dr. Semple. Those certainly are discussions which have happened within the SELPA as to looking at exactly the points that you're talking about. One which you didn't bring up, but which will be viewed over a long-term period is, does this in fact reduce the number of non-public school placements?
And that's another big expense.
Yeah, which is an expense, which is a huge expense that we'll be looking at. We're also going to be reviewing the number of special education students that we actually have in these programs, as opposed to what the number was when LACO was actually providing the services for that.
So you think that the parent population will be more receptive to us doing it as opposed to LA County?
That is the belief. The track record is with East and West San Gabriel Valley SELPAs. They found that to be true. And they've switched over now for 3-4 years. They've been taking back all of those services.
Okay. Of the 369 students, how many are ours?
So in the special day classes, this is SELPA-wide. We have about 52 students right now, but of the students that are receiving DIS services, we have closer to like 90. So one of the things about that is that Torrance, we tend to, we're a little bit more able to keep our special day class students because we have a broader continuum, but we utilize a lot of the LACO previously, now regionalized itinerant services for kids with hearing impairments, visual impairments, and orthopedic impairments.
Okay. And then under the autism and behavior and those regionalized classrooms, do we have enough kids in that group to do it ourselves? Is that pretty much, or is that, it
So-
seems like pretty big groupings.
Yeah, actually, Torrance does not refer to LACO very often for the students with autism. We do use LACO somewhat for the behavior intervention, not a class. There's not enough students in that particular program, though, to make up a class at this point. We are more on the low incidence. So the greatest number of students from Torrance are in the health support unit, the visually impaired, and the deaf, hard of hearing.
Yeah, because when I saw autism, I thought, well, that sounds like something we could do, so that's okay. Okay, well, good. Well, I look forward to good things. I mean,
Me too.
I've asked about this before, and I know there's no metrics for this, but, we reorganized special ed a year ago, maybe a little over, and maybe it's time to revisit the new way versus the old way, number of due process claims, overall impact, how the budget looks, how that's all working out versus, I know it's been about a year, I know I've talked to Katie about this, Dr. Crumpy in the past about this, so maybe it's time to have that conversation too. Okay, good, thank you.
Mrs. Reagans.
Yeah, actually,
Go ahead, Don.
just a general question about finances, Dr. Mann. I don't want to get into specifics, but the same money that the SELPA was distributing to county programs for our kids will be going then to these classrooms to cover expenses?
That's correct.
Okay, just wanted to be
Yeah.
sure about that.
And just to clarify, the new admin position is SELPA paid, not district funded, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
so,
yeah, it's a bill, it's the model, the finance committee determined the model, but yes.
Well, there's no SELPA in, well,
Yeah, there is.
there is a SELPA, but the county's not providing the
Correct.
service.
Yeah, so Southwest SELPA would actually be, remember, we've taken back not only programs, but administrative unit also. So Los Angeles County will not run the administrative unit. So the funding coming into the administrative unit, which is Lawndale, would actually pay the cost of the position that you were talking about.
correct. Okay, it's not, I guess visually, it's not that we're gathering all of our kids up and covering with our own, we still have a SELPA, it's just no
We
longer
absolutely
LA County
do.
funded.
Yeah, remember.
Or LA County serviced.
Right, it's 12 school districts, remember.
Correct, okay. All right, I think that's all the questions. You too can run for home.
I'm going to. Thank you.
We are now moving into the item number 9, the oral communications, and I need yellow cards from anyone who wishes to speak. So if anyone wants to speak, I need yellow cards. 9.1, the Board of Education welcomes input from the public. In order to discuss district business in an orderly manner, for the privacy and safety of speakers, and to help staff respond more directly, board policies require that public presentations to the board comply with certain procedures, including speakers to non-agenda items may address only items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Time allotted for such presentations is limited to 3 minutes. Total time allotted for public input on non-agenda items is limited to 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to state their name, address the president from the podium, and adhere to the applicable time limits. Complaints against employees or students will normally be heard in closed session, and the district's complaint procedure should be followed before discussion with the board. The board may remove disruptive individuals and order the room cleared if necessary. Any person who willfully disturbs a public school meeting is guilty of a misdemeanor. Education Code 32210. I am going to list off names and who's on deck. We don't have a large quantity of cards, but let's go ahead and keep it as efficient as possible. Lenore, I'm sorry?
Just making sure we had timing.
Lenore I'm sorry? Eisenschimmel, followed by Mary Beth Borowski.
Hi. Okay. We, Magruder teachers, would like to thank the teachers at Hickory Elementary who spoke at the last school board meeting, who showed the district that they are TTA and they stand united. They inspired us, and in support of the staff at Hickory, we wrote this letter to our administration. Dear Lisa and Don, we want to thank you for supporting us as teachers. We know that you recognize the hard work we do because you gave us some relief when it came to STEM night. You saw that it was asking a lot of teachers to put on this special night, so you didn't hold it at Magruder this year. We appreciate that gesture. That being said, we want you to know that we are writing this letter because we wanted to send a message of solidarity to the district that shows how we feel about the growing disconnect between the TTA and the district. We willingly try out the new programs the district implements. We spend time learning new grading programs on our own because the only time we get to learn it is a few hours on the days before school starts. We teach tutorial periods and collect endless amounts of data for RTI purposes daily. We go to required trainings that take us away from our students. Because of this, we teachers are frustrated over the current contract negotiations that show how the district does not truly value the work that we do for our students every day. It is shameful that the district would not budge on their offer that was also tied to the calendar. It makes us sad that mediation didn't work, and now we are in fact finding a calendar that is imposed by the district. We don't want there to be a rift between the district and the teachers, but we feel that the chasm is getting wider each day due to the lack of district movement on the contract. Because we don't feel valued for all that we do outside of the contracted workday by the district, we have decided to concentrate our efforts on the hours that we spend with students per our contract. In order to honor this and move towards the direction if necessary, we have decided that we will not host the Magruder Awards Night in the evening, which has been a teacher-driven staple at Magruder for the past 15 years. It makes us sad that this is a night where the best and the brightest are honored and parents have the opportunity to see their child get the highest awards at school. We are asking that instead of holding the awards night in the evening, that we fit it inside the school day in order to honor our bell-to-bell commitment to kids. We spend hours compiling lists on our time, meet on our own time, discussing top of the top, and draft picks to share the wealth. This pains us because we know that all parents won't have the opportunity to attend, nor will it have the specialness that it had when it was held outside of school day, and students and parents got a special invitation to attend. As much as it saddens us, we want to send this message of solidarity and would appreciate your support. Sincerely, Magruder teachers.
Mary Beth Borowski, followed by Esau Baruman.
Hi, Mary Beth Borowski, Magruder Middle School. I stand with my teachers here. Esteemed members of the school board, we are asking that you see that our staff at Magruder is TTA. Counselors, teachers, and staff, TOSAs in Torrance, are committed to their students and their families.
We are TTA.
Teachers and counselors and staff go along with the costly programs and changes that the district implements. We do our best to make them work for our school and our students.
We are TTA.
Teachers and counselors and staff are asked to do more all the time, and we do it without complaining because we know that it is for the good of our students.
We are TTA.
TTA members are united in our frustration with the district. We didn't think that a 1% plus a calendar change showed that we were valued, so we voted it down. But we do think it was necessary for the district to negotiate with good faith instead of hold fast to what was on the table to begin with. Part of negotiating means that there is give and take on both sides. There has to be some wiggle room if one side is not happy.
We are TTA.
The Torrance Teachers Association represents us. The Torrance Teachers Association is us. So please see us for who we are, the ones teaching the future leaders of this community, and we deserve to be treated as the educated professionals that we are. Thank you.
Essa, followed by Julie Schenkel. Julie Schenkel, you're on deck. There he is. Nope. I know he's here.
Good evening. I have to be quick tonight, 3 minutes. 7-Eleven committee, I'm still upset about that. As a parent, I still think we should keep it in North Torrance. We need those resources. I looked at the members of 7-Eleven committee. One of the members' daughter and husband works at North Torrance. The other one's a principal at North Torrance. The other person is a teacher at North Torrance. 2 of the other members are part of the bond oversight committee. Torrance is a big city. I'm pretty sure you don't have to double dip committees. Of these 5 people that I've mentioned, they all voted, said, yeah, let's sell Hamilton. 2 of the members for the 7-Eleven committee were homeowners in Torrance, part of the North Torrance Homeowner Associations. They said, no, it's not surplus. You're going to get the report soon, I believe. Second thing, transparency, budget. I'm giving you an example of what the budget looked like last year when it was presented to you, June 19th. As a board, I would think you'd have higher expectations than kind of a middle school presentation. You don't use a handwritten script to present something for the public. Makes it hard for people to read if you have issues with your eyesight. Manhattan Beach's presentation is there. I also looked up for the adopted budget presentation, scanned document on a printer, on a copier. If I try to search for salary schedule, or not salary schedule, try to see how much is being spent on salaries classified, certificated, I can't find it. I have to go through 118 pages of scanned document. It shouldn't be like that. I should be able to look up the PDF, download it, type in salaries, and I should be able to tell me page 13, page 15, page 16. If you don't believe me, you can look it up, download it, the June 19th adopted agenda. It's there. It's coming up again. I hope that the 18-19 adopted board, the budget, it's transparent. It's easy for us as a person that lives in the city, has a daughter here, to be able to look up certain things on the budget. It shouldn't be page 1, Torrance Unified School District, 09, this function code, or this one. Second, third page, it's just what the county said, I think, when it went into the county approval process. It's not. And then the 4th, 5th page, it's in portrait. It should be landscaped because the Excel sheets or whatever it was printed like that. Third thing, LCAP. There's supposed to be a parent component. I haven't been asked for my input on it. There's supposed to be a teacher input and classified certificated input. I don't know if the teachers have been asked. Doesn't sound like it from what I'm hearing. That's coming up too in June. This is where you adopt it and then you send it over to the county for approval. Where is my input as a parent? This is not a good time. I paid a lot for my house in Torrance. I expected more from Torrance. Thank you very much.
Julie Schenkel, followed by Christopher Phillips. Christopher Phillips is on deck.
Good evening, members of the board.
I'm Julie Schenkel, the bargaining chair of Torrance Teachers Association, and these are members of my bargaining team here. Our bargaining journey has definitely been a long and winding road. We began this process more than 2 years ago. When TUSD declared that we had reached an impasse in February, the board asked for patience from teachers and members of our community to allow the process to play out. I believe the word process was used multiple times from every member sitting up there. Well, here we are on the backside of the process. Late last week, TUSD and TTA were notified that the fact-finding panel had concluded its work and made a set of recommendations. Tonight, I just have a single question. When and how will TUSD make the fact-finding report public? Thank you.
Christopher Phillips.
I'll be reading this tonight on behalf of the faculty of Madrona Middle School. Dear board members, parents, and public, the faculty of Madrona wishes to reach out to you so you may better understand the position we find ourselves in. The Torrance Unified School District has placed many burdensome demands on teachers in the form of new programs, time away from students in the name of professional development, and the collection of data, all while Torrance teachers work without a contract. We, the teachers of Madrona Middle School, are becoming distraught and demoralized as we labor to meet the demands placed upon us within the confines of the school day. We know the most critical aspect of our job is to interact with and enlighten our students between the hours of 8 and 3 o'clock. To this end, we have decided, as a faculty, to concentrate our effort and energy on this time period in order to accomplish this goal. Effective immediately, we will be canceling the Madrona 8th grade award night that is put on each year by the dedicated teachers of this school. On award night, we traditionally invite parents, families, and friends to our cafeteria after normal school hours, with 8th grade teachers presenting awards to their hardest working students. It has been a painful decision to cancel this night of celebration. Our dedication to our students cannot be called into question. We have dedicated our lives to the education of our students. We chose this action not to punish our students, but to help ease the punishing workload we labor under each and every day. The faculty of Madrona Middle School wishes to thank our families, administrators, and community members, and hope they support us in this show of solidarity and unity. Thank you.
Moving on to discussion action items. 10.1, instructions to the public. Speakers wishing to address the board, I should tell you, if you want to speak to discussion action items, I need a pink card. Instructions to the public. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda topics are permitted 3 minutes per topic. Total time granted for public input shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic. The board policies require that public presentation to the board comply with certain procedures, including items 2 through 4 listed in oral communications. Let's do it the cards first. Deb Tabush, followed by Jen Harris, Terrell Sneed, and Brandon Silva.
You actually need a motion and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have a motion on item 10.1?
So moved.
Second.
What are,
We're doing.
right, but we're just doing the board policies?
You're doing 10 point?
Yeah, board policy.
That's what it is, board policy.
Oh, so we're doing 10.2.
10.1.
Yes, you're getting public input, there's only one item, so it has to be in that.
This one where we can waive the second reading?
No, we actually have items they're wanting to speak to.
That's
That's-
for consent agenda.
Waive the second.
You can,
Oh,
but I
I'm
was
sorry.
getting it on the tables because he
sorry.
has speakers.
My fault, my screw up. My apologies.
We need to amend the motion that was made.
You will, I think,
Yeah.
Mr. Steffen.
So we're talking about 10.2. Do I have a motion to approve 10.2, approval of proposed board policies update?
You have a motion and a second.
We already have them.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
All in favor?
No,
Aye.
no,
No?
you have speakers.
No, these are to
for consent
15.2
items.
and 12.4. These are consent speakers.
Oh, excuse me, those are consent
Yeah.
ones then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I got screwed
Now-
up as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. And Mr. Steffen has an amendment to this.
I did not make the motion. Did it?
So I will withdraw my motion and let you make the motion.
Just waive second reading.
Yeah, I make the motion to approve 10.2 and waive the second reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm usually better than that. Sorry about that. Moving to the consent agenda. approval of the consent agenda as a whole. All matters listed in the consent agenda, 12 general functions consent through 18 administrative service consent, are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one vote. There is no discussion of consent calendar items unless members of the governing board, public, or staff request that specific items be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. I have requests for 12.4 and 15.2. Anybody else would like to remove something from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve items 12 through 18, except for 12.4 and 15.2.
Second.
Okay, let's start with 12.4. Can I get a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Did we vote on the first motion?
No, we didn't, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We got you all discombobulated.
You do. I'm falling further behind here. Let's have a vote. All those in favor of the first motion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now, let's have a motion for 12.4.
Yes, move to approve.
A second?
Second.
And I'd like to have Jen Harris, Terrell Sneed, and Brandon Silva come up and speak to us.
Just for the information of the audience, it's to adopt a resolution proclaiming May 2018 as TUSD Mental Health Awareness Month. Something near and dear to my heart,
It is.
since that's my husband's work.
And it's Jen Harris again.
Hi.
Jen.
Hi.
You
So
brought
I
friends.
Yes,
Yay.
this is my team from Behavioral Health Services, so Brandon Silva and Terrell Sneed. And I'd also like to acknowledge that Brandon is actually receiving his BA this Friday from Cal State Long Beach.
Congratulations.
And on May 4th, Terrell received his master's from Biola University.
Oh, congratulations.
Very good. Congratulations to both of you.
Yes, I have some amazing folks with me. So we have some handouts for you all today, and thank you very much for the resolution. I'd like to thank Board Member Reagans for all of her hard work and support on this. One of the things that we've actually been doing is trying to raise more awareness around stress reduction, self-care, making sure that not only are staff taking care of themselves, but our young people are taking care of themselves. And we've started a youth coalition or youth group at West High School, and the students have been talking a lot about how stressed they are. And testing just started, and they have been doing AP testing as well, and this was even prior to all of that, so we want to make sure that we can provide some supports for students on campuses, and the acknowledgement of the resolution proclaiming May 2018 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Torrance Unified is awesome, and I think it raises visibility around the support that we should be providing. So the handouts that you received, we have a card that we created, and actually this card, we handed these cards out last week at Madrona Middle School, and so it had the BHS logo for South Bay Prevention and also the Madrona Wildcats logo on there, and all of the teachers received one, and also with a green ribbon, which represents Mental Health Awareness Month. And we also gave all of the faculty handouts on stress, sleep, diet and nutrition, and exercise. So we hope you all will read these as well, because they definitely contain some information that will be helpful. And last week, Madrona Middle School, we had Mental Health Awareness Week, and so we did activities at lunch for the students. Some of the 8th grade students put on a flag football game, and so it was the 6th and 7th graders versus the 8th graders, and the 6th and 7th graders won. So they received Sundays on Friday. And we also had trivia activities for them and an egg hunt where we included questions about mental health awareness. And so the students had to find the eggs and then answer the questions, and then they were entered into the raffles. And I just want to thank the Madrona Middle School teachers and faculty, because they've been extremely supportive in helping encouraging the students to practice wellness. And so next week we will actually be doing activities with our youth group, Warriors of Wellness at West High School. So they'll be doing week-long activities for the students and encouraging them to get enough rest, to make sure that they're practicing healthy eating habits, getting enough exercise, and reducing their stress along the way. So we will also have cards for all of the teachers, and we will have ribbons for them to be able to show their support as well. And we're just looking forward to encouraging and educating around this issue. So thank you all very much.
Don't run away. Mrs. Deutsch.
I just had a question. You mentioned Madrona and you mentioned West High School.
Yes.
Is this a program that you're launching at all schools, or is it just those two schools?
So, unfortunately, this is not a program we are launching at all schools.
Awareness.
Yes. So we are currently at both of those schools doing programming, and so it was a lot easier to work with the faculty to be able to do programming. Unfortunately, our team is limited. However, one of the things that we wanted to do by getting the resolution this year is hopefully we can do something that it becomes annually, and we can have activities that will happen at all the schools. So not necessarily that we would need to be there, but we could work with the student population to be able to put on activities, and also with the faculty as well.
Great.
So
Thank you.
we would love to partner to get this going, because it's definitely important, and we've seen an increase in young people in suicide attempts, and so we want to make sure that we're supporting them in all areas that they need.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for coming, and congratulations to both of you for your shiny new degrees.
Yes.
And can I
They'll
just say,
have lots of spare time after they graduate, so you can
I
work them
hope
harder.
so, because we'll need them. So just call us, and then I'll send them out.
You can work them harder.
That's right.
But one last thing, we received confirmation today from Kaiser South Bay that we will be having our third annual youth summit there, and so it will be on Saturday, June 9th. So we will provide more information. We'll get it emailed out, and then also, Tammy, wherever you are, we will send that to you for approval so we can get it to the school. So we will be focusing on stress reduction, self-care, college and career readiness, and alcohol and drug prevention during that time. So thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve 15.2, approval of a district team to attend the General Electric Foundation K-12 STEM Integration Conference?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Deb to Bush on 15.2.
Good evening, President Wormers, members of the school board, cabinet, and our student representative. I'm here tonight pulling this item because I'm hoping that I can get a little more clarification to exactly the leadership, which is consisted of 4 teachers. But then it also states that district teams will work on a district plan for disseminating and initiating the instructional practices to all elementary sites at the district. So is it going to be these 4 people who are the committee rolling it out, or is it going to be consisted of more coming back for feedback and rollout?
Yeah, I think they were excited to be selected to get to go for general information. So I think rather than it being a program rollout, they're hoping to bring back that information. So as they work with our elementary teachers, as you know, we're finished with the initial rollout of NGSS training and professional development. And so moving forward, the training will be opt-in. Based on input that we get from the teachers at different grade levels of what of the needs that they have in rolling out NGSS, and in addition to being able to continue to help with the rollout as new science labs open in the elementary school classrooms. And so the hope is that they can bring back this information and add to their repertoire toolkit versus it being a new or a different program.
Okay, perfect. And then I just want to make sure from the LCAP, it's under 3.7. Is that where this would be?
So this was grant funded?
No, I understand.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying for the future of the continuing with our.
Is that the action around science professional development?
Correct.
Then yes.
3.7.
Then yes.
Actions and services.
Yes.
Continue to provide science and NGSS. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bush. So 15.2, all in favor?
Aye.
We have now moved to the information portion of our agenda. 19.1 is board calendar, lots of remarkable information there. 19.2, revisions to administrative regulations and exhibits, March.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a note for board members, as we do, AR 3451, which is the petty cash fund in the district. That is a non-conforming policy to CSBA, so that is our own policy.
Very good.
Actually, regulation, excuse me.
Okay. Comments from board members. Report from the board's representative to the Southern California Regional Occupation Center, Mr. Michael Wormers. That's me. We had a meeting, and it was, I felt, remarkably productive because we were discussing the actual costs of what a class is versus an amorphous, unknown number. We have a lot of work ahead of us because SoCal Rock doesn't quite know what classes cost, but they're at least, I believe, moving in the right direction, so I felt that was very productive. I'll keep you all posted on how it moves forward from there, so. Any other comments from members of the board? Mr. Steffen?
I have a question just on the calendar. West High School, June 4th, recognition only, starts at 7. Is there another meeting attached to that?
There is. There is the ribbon cutting for the new auditorium.
Okay, all right.
And then there is the actual board meeting after the ribbon cutting.
That, the ribbon cutting is not on here, so.
Correct.
That's a recognition meeting, correct, Dr. Mann?
And that is our spring recognition meeting.
Very good. Anything else, Mr. Steffen?
Nope.
Mrs. Reagans?
Thank you. I just actually wanted to catch up from our last meeting when I was not present. There were a few classified employees that actually reached anniversary increments that I didn't recognize, and I didn't want to leave that unattended. Those folks are for 15 years of service, Lisa Jackson and Angela Perkins, and for 20 years of accredited service as a classified employee for our schools, Donna Hay. Thank you, folks, for working with our kids and with our schools. And that was it. Thank you.
Mrs. Deutsch?
I just wanted to share that I, with Mrs. Reagans and Dr. Mannon, attended the South Bay Promise, where Dr. Mannon was one of the superintendents of a group of superintendents in our South Bay community that signed what would you say, a promise for free education the first year at El Camino. So I thought that was an amazing event to be there, and it felt really, really good about the fact that we're the outreach to the community, and I just wanted to say that I was very happy to be there. Thank you.
Mr. Lee?
I just thought of this. We're putting all new fields in at all the high schools, so that's why the graduations are going to be at El Camino this year, which will be exciting, as we found out 10 years ago. It works pretty good. But what I would, Dr. Stowe, I assume in this year's budget, we're going to start the sinking fund for the next set of fields, 7 to 10 years.
Yes, and I was going to be discussing this with the budget subcommittee of the board when we meet.
Okay, good, as long as that's still on the list. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Lee, that's important. I have something from Lisa Cooey, the librarian at North High. She sent us these books, these pamphlets or books or whatever. They're about libraries. If you remember her, she spoke so eloquently at the meeting at North. We were talking about how we're going to spend funds. She said she'd be back next month to quiz us on this. It's going to be a test. Anyhow, she's a very active and powerful librarian, as we have several in the district, and there's a very good possibility that they will come and speak to us sometime during the summer about what we're doing with our libraries and how we can improve them. So I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I believe that's it. And I'm now looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will give a motion to adjourn while I tell all the kids in the back to run up here and we'll sign that stuff and get out of here.
Quickly as you can.
And I'll second.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Come on, we can all do it.
Run quickly.
Any of us. Any of us.
Was it the end of the...